The Jon Anik and Kenny Florian podcast. Jon Anik and Kenny Florian.
I fucking love them. I can't get enough of them.
Let's hear that Boston next.
Big jab there from Duffy, and Frank Mir is hurt now. Down goes Duffy, out cold. Frank Mir does it again. Rock'em sock'em robots here. Oh my goodness.
Hyperbole.
There are a couple of absolutely self-involved bullshit artists.
Here are your hosts, Jon Anik and Kenny Florian.
Well, no time to waste today, but it is Kenny Florian's birthday month. I've seen some women recently say, hey, it's my birthday month. It's like, what? Your birthday month?
Yeah, I barely celebrate my birthday, let alone the whole month. You know what I mean?
You and I like
mourn
on our birthdays
exactly.
at this point in time.
Creeping up to 50, kid.
It's unbelievable. It really is, like 50. We are so much closer to 50 than 30. It's disgusting. I mean, twilight of our careers and lives. Yeah. It is Sunday, May 1st, as we get Ken Flo's fucking birthday month underway here in the year 2022. Episode 374 of the Anik and Florian podcast. I am back off the red eye from Vegas. Very excited to talk to my friend. And obviously, it's a pay-per-view week. The bulk of the back end of the show will be devoted to UFC 274, Oliveira versus Gaethje. But it's not so rare that we have a UFC fight night like this that gives us so goddamn much to talk about, particularly when it comes to this main event. So let us get to it. Marlon Chito Vera, first main event for him, and he emerges with flying colors, a monumental victory over Rob Font, who was about as game as it gets. A lot of layers to this before the fight, during the fight, after the fight, but your thoughts on Chito's performance Saturday night?
Just really impressed. Again, a guy who will get a spot on my nasty prick 2022 team. He's just, again, the continued momentum, the continued improvement is beautiful to watch. I think when I first started striking or learning the striking game, I wanted to be safe defensively. And what I did is I used that shell, not that Philly shell, but that clam shell type approach that Chito used. As you can see, it nullifies even a lot of the most crisp boxers because the punches skim off, it hits elbows, hits the top of the head. And while it looks like he's landing some combinations, they're not doing any damage. And I hate making this metric or making this comparison, but if you look at the face of Rob Font compared to the face of Chito Vera, and you add up all the numbers, and I would say, who do you think is the guy that landed more strikes? You would go, well, obviously Chito's the guy who landed more strikes. That's not the way it was, right? So defensively, Chito really knows how to utilize that clamshell extremely well. It must be used with movement. And for the most part, he was using it with footwork, but he was keeping it very tight, which was not allowing Rob Font to land a lot of those beautiful combinations. Rob is such a pretty striker to watch, but he wasn't doing any damage. And at the end of the day, especially this is great because we're coming off the last podcast with Sean Sheehan, who explained this beautifully. It comes down to damage, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking to Cody off air before this. It's like, if let's say you have a less superior weapon, you have a knife, I got a gun, I shoot, Cody 5 times. Sorry, Cody. And I get him in the shoulder, I get him in the leg. These are gunshots. They're bad. But I go over there, finish the job. He takes a knife out, slashes my neck, and I'm dead. Who won?
Right. Yeah,
all it took was one shot. So again, I felt like that's what Chito was doing. I thought Rob Font won round 1, right? And then rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5 were stolen repeatedly for the most case by Chito Vera because of those brutal and precise blows, knocking him down, almost finishing him in that fight. That's what we're looking at, right, John?
Exactly. Almost finished Rob Font in rounds 2, 3, and 4, to be sure. So any thought to giving Rob Font that round up to that point, I think goes out the door, So learning what I've learned over the last several weeks, shout out, of course, to Sean Sheehan. I felt pretty convicted in saying that the judges were going to go 4-1 for Marlon Chito Vera. There are a lot of different angles to this, in terms of the word damage and obviously the 3 Ds, dominance, duration, damage. This isn't a situation of, certain fighters cut easily, right? Rob Font does not cut easily, as you saw. I would also submit to you that Rob Font missed weight, and that doesn't sit well with a lot of his contemporaries, right, who don't want to hear that the weight just wasn't coming off. And you know how much respect I have for the New England Cartel and Tyson Chartier, and I think a lot of those guys do listen to this program. But I think it does stand to reason, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if Font does stare death in the face and cut those final 2.5 pounds, that he doesn't survive that beating at the end of one of those rounds. So
That's a good point.
I mean, is that a crazy thing to say?
No, I mean, here's the thing. Every pound matters. I find it hilarious when people are like, well, he was only, half a pound off, or he was only a pound off. Why didn't he just cut the rest? It's like, dude, he just ran a marathon, and you're asking someone to be like, can you just run 2 more miles for me? Just all I need is 2 more miles. You just did a marathon. Just do 2 more. It's easy.
Right.
So yeah, no, it's tough. And I agree with you, because all that water, okay, it comes out of your body, it comes out of your brain. It's harder to recover from those things. And again, Rob Font should have made the weight. That's no excuse. It's not a good thing. He should have made the weight. But at the same time, John, you're absolutely correct. If he did make that weight, I'm not sure he would have survived a couple of those rounds. Now, you could also say, because of the tough weight cut and him not being able to make, maybe that's why he got knocked out so many times during the fight.
Sure.
So it absolutely has an impact on your body. Doing a weight cut, I hate to talk about my experience, but I fought and I felt like shit at 145 pounds both times. Energy-wise, strength-wise, I wasn't the same. I remember I got hit by a shot and I dropped to one knee, and I didn't feel like it was a hard shot, but my body felt like it was a hard shot. And it definitely takes its toll on you. So that was unfortunate on Rob's side.
It's tough because a lot of my dearest friends in the world are in the sort of no tolerance for weight miss club, right? You and Paul Felder and Cruz. And so these are a lot of the people that have been in my ear over the last decade, right? And for Dominic Cruz's last weight cut, I'm not going to get into the details, but like the weight wasn't coming off. And it was absolute torture.
Still made the weight, but he still made the weight.
Right.
Yeah.
So much so that when he got to the weigh, and he's like, or after the fight, he said to me, were you getting nervous at like 10:45 when I'm not there? I'm like, you're fucking right. I was, but I guess that's neither here nor there. I would also say for judges, for commentators, Kenny, calling out strikes in real time is sort of difficult. And, Rob Font was on the wrong side of a record here, right? In terms of statistically, he landed 271 significant strikes. Marlon Chito Vera landed 159. So in terms of a UFC decision win, no one's sort of been outstruck, for lack of a better verb, on the numbers and still won a fight like that. I thought Rob Font obviously did a lot of good work, but in real time, like a lot of those strikes were glancing off of the arms, and obviously the shell, the Jose Aldo shell is legendary. Chito defensively very sound. I do think that that maybe attacking the body would be useful against somebody like Chito Vera. I mean, what'd you think of Rob Font's overall approach to be, triple digit strike attempts? Like right as he's going over 100 total strikes every single round right out of the chute.
Yeah, listen, I thought it was impressive. His numbers, his volume of strikes was really pretty to watch. He was mixing things up. I would have liked to seen him attack the legs a little bit more. I think Chito threw more leg strikes, I believe. But yeah, I would have liked to see Rob maybe throw a little bit more leg strikes, but he was doing everything right. I think the only thing I would have seen from Rob, I would have liked to seen from Rob was mixing up the full mixed martial arts arsenal of trying to take Chito down, getting top position, because Rob's got some phenomenal ground and pound. It doesn't mean he has to exchange, jiu-jitsu techniques necessarily. Get position, get your posture, and pound away. I would have liked to seen that a little bit more from Rob, but hindsight's 2020. But he was landing a lot of those strikes, again, as you said, off the shell of Chito. And then defensively, he could have been a little bit better. It was like, I've never seen a guy out technique another guy and then lose the round. You know what I mean? He was the more technical striker. He was cleaner with what he was doing. It just looked fundamentally sound, all those things. But if there would be a tragic error in each and every round that would happen, where he'd find himself in trouble, whether it was ducking down too much and not getting an angle to be more defensively sound or safe. So he ducked down and his arms would kind of be out a little bit more wide open where that knee came up down the middle, or he'd get hit with, whether it was a shot over the temple. So defensively is where he was making some of those mistakes. And there weren't many. It's just Chito was finding that spot. And I think maybe there was a brief lack of focus for just a few seconds on the part of Rob Font, because maybe he was winning the round and was cruising and it was almost making it look easy at times. But then he'd make maybe a lapse in judgment and would get caught and would pay dearly for it. And Chito is an absolute killer, man. If he hurts you, he's going to try to take you out. And he's very methodical, and again, just a nasty dude who's going to try to get you out of there. And it looked bad on the judges. He was bruised up badly. He was bleeding. It looked like, he went face first into the wood chipper. It was just nasty stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely nasty. We're going to spend the next 5 minutes now on Marlon Chito Vera, but I'm glad we were able to sort of get that discourse out of the way. So as a gambler, Kenny, you're looking for certain spots to back or fade certain teams, right? Whether it's an NBA team off a back-to-back, and, maybe they're partying in New Orleans and the next night they're playing in Milwaukee and whatever the case may be, right? So I thought going in, and I would never utter this before the fight, and you can say that this is bullshit because I'm saying it after the fact, but, Rob Font coming off the Jose Aldo disappointment, maybe a little bit hard to get up for Chito Vera, who's ranked below you. You're not getting a title shot if you win this fight. You can call this speculation. You can call it whatever you want, but really it was more of a focus on Chito Vera being in a totally opposite frame of mind than that, right? Hungry as hell, as he always is, training 24/7, 365, arguably the best cardiovascular base in the entire UFC, most prolific finisher in UFC bantamweight history, and fighting in his first UFC main event with all the motivation in the world. Now, certainly Rob Font is an outstanding fighter, and you can argue he would look better shooting a basketball than Chito Vera athletically. You can argue that Rob Font would beat Chito 5 or 6 out of 10 times. I won't sit here and do that. But I don't know, man. I did think this was a good spot to back Chito as the underdog. I just thought that he was not going to be denied. And knowing that you can't put him away, I think for a lot of these elite bantamweights, it's going to be a very difficult challenge to sort of wrap your head around.
Staying hungry and having a passion for the sport is something that I knew I had to have throughout my career. And I knew that as soon as that was gone, or as soon as my body wouldn't allow me to do that, those are the two major signs which indicated I couldn't fight anymore, that I had to say goodbye. The body went first. I still had a passion and a hunger for the sport. If you don't have, if you don't have both of those things, you're in trouble. I'm not saying that's the case for Rob Font, but you bring up a good point. It's way easier, right? I guess psychologically, to say, I got to climb that mountain, as opposed to being at the mountain, holding your spot, not letting anybody else go up. It's just a different mindset. Those people that are looking to climb that mountain, that are looking to try to get that title shot for the first time, or get those big fights, or are just really motivated and passionate about that a lot of times is enough fuel to surpass the person that maybe is even more skilled than you. And I think that was an example here. Rob Font, dude, I mean, he has all the skills in the world. I love watching him fight.
There's
this
no
dude
doubt.
is clean, okay? He's nice with it. But I think there was maybe a lack of focus, and whether that was him, maybe, whether it was the weight cut, or maybe losing focus, maybe not having the hunger, I don't know. But it is a real thing, and it happens to every athlete, let alone every fighter.
And Tyson Chartier could text me later that, I'm out of my skull piece, but, Marlon Chito Vera obviously should be the focus here. I want to talk to you a little bit about the cardio. I don't even know what to say about the resting heart rate, or that the fact that 18 minutes in, he's not even fucking schwitzing, Ken Flo. Like, I don't even know what to say, but print the ABC always bet on cardio shirts already. Like, I would never fade the cardio guy. And I don't know, man. I don't know that Chito has a greater weapon than that, of all his long range stuff and everything else. Like, I feel like cardio is his biggest gift.
Conditioning is certainly there for Chito. The other thing I would argue is that from an efficiency standpoint, he is great to watch as well. You look at every shot that he threw, he really was making them count, right? I mean, that was really the difference for me. And I think there's a lot of fighters out there that don't know how to manage that whole thing. Like either they're throwing not so much, but maybe not making it count. Or they're just, not throwing a lot of volume because they don't want to get tired, or they're throwing too much volume and just getting wrecked, condition wise.
Right.
So managing that and knowing how you can keep a certain pace round by round over the course of 25 minutes and be effective with your techniques is an art in and of itself. And Chito is so good at that. And I think that's often overlooked. It's like, how much energy are you putting into what you're doing?
The
and
energy
can you manage that?
conservation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely something to be said there. And, we use this analogy sometimes talking about Petrie or Chito Vera, that they're like playing with their food. And maybe in Chito's case, like, I know I can block all these punches, so let's just gas you out a little bit, and then we'll pick things up in round two.
Right.
And obviously Jason Perillo almost having a comedic moment with Chito after round one, saying, I know the way you approach round one, but Kenny, this I do believe is sort of a dangerous approach long term. I mean, he almost lost the Frankie Edgar fight. I mean, am I crazy? Right? Like, it stands to reason that he lost rounds 1 and 2 before getting the finish, and certainly 5 rounds affords him all this time to land his destructive blows. But I don't know, man. I think in certain matchups you got to be careful digging yourself a hole like he perpetually seems to be doing.
There's no question about it, because if Rob wasn't making those little mistakes, it would have been a dominant performance from Rob Font, and we'd be talking about how damn good Rob Font is. Now, he is very good. It was just those lapses where Chito was taking advantage of it, and I couldn't agree more. Chito has that computer where he likes to analyze and see how he's going to approach it. And I think he definitely gets, he plays off the feel of the fight and the feel of his opponents, and then makes his adjustments or looks for those holes or vulnerabilities, which is great. But you can't let someone get ahead like that. Now, I think it's like the Jose Aldo fight was a perfect example of that. So technically he has some work to do. There's no question about it. It doesn't make him any more, less impressive. He's still a phenomenal fighter, but I think those are the things that Chito is working on. That's why he's in the gym all the time, because as he gets up into the elite guys, you cannot let someone get ahead like that, because they're not going to make mistakes. Like the top 5 guys don't make those mistakes, period.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how he approaches it. I know he's capable of doing it. Chito is an absolute stud.
Yeah, I mean, Font did land a lot of clean shots, and Chito barely had a scratch on him. Really, just incredible. There's so much to talk about with this fight. I'm so happy for Chito Vera, right? I mean, Kenny, you and I obviously go way back with this guy.
Yes.
He reached out to Kenny, as many of you know, very early on in terms of trying to make his elbows more proficient. I mean, he has wanted this dream since he was training, moving couches in his living room in Ecuador. He made his UFC debut having never trained in the United States of America. And obviously a 1-2 start in the UFC, as we've talked about, and just so happy for him, man. He has so many different attributes as a human being and as a fighter. And I don't know, it's pretty cool to see him, getting this type of spotlight and changing his kids' lives, not unlike Oliveira and Moreno and these other guys. And I think this guy might fight for the belt before it's all said and done.
His focus is impressive. I mean, you could see it, certain guys that are really tuned into the fight. Like, I could see from the very first bell to the end of the fight that the only thing that existed was Rob Font. Like, he was tuned into everything that had to do with Rob Font. There was no distractions. His focus was all there. I really, that was the difference. Just really impressed with Chito, man.
All right, well, congratulations to Marlon, Chito Vera, and the entire squad as we spin it forward for him. So Aljamain Sterling is the undisputed champion of this division. He was in the building. Not totally out of the realm of possibility that Chito Vera, in a short notice replacement situation, could find himself in a title fight, but I do think he's going to need one more fight. Maybe it'll be a main event. So you have Aljamain Sterling, you have Petrie, TJ Dillashaw, Jose Aldo, Corey Sandhagen, Rob Font, of course, who will now move down, Merab Dvalishvili, Dominic Cruz, and Chito Vera. So it doesn't really matter for Chito. I think he wants Dillashaw, Sandhagen, the Aldo rematch, or Petrie if he can't get Aljamain Sterling. I don't know if you want to get predictive or what you would like to see, but I know you were pretty excited before we started the show about all that this bantamweight division potentially could have to offer with these new matchups.
Savages. I love this division, man.
Insane.
I love watching these guys. They're so damn technical, and they go for the finish. So I guess, for the title, I wouldn't mind seeing Aldo and Aljo going at it. I think, I don't know. I would think that the UFC might be leaning in that direction.
Right.
Who knows? But
Right.
I would love to see that fight. Now, as far as Chito Vera, two lanky killers, Corey Sandhagen, Chito Vera. Let's go.
Ooh. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You might say in Boston, that makes a fucking shit ton of sense. You match up Sandhagen and Chito Vera. And it'll be interesting to see what they do with Dominic Cruz. It seems like there are some rumblings that a fight with Merab Dvalishvili could materialize, but who knows? There's a lot of different considerations for the bantamweight division. Seemed as though TJ Dillashaw might have the inside track on a title fight. Jose Aldo, the King of Rio, has now gone public, proclaiming that, he's been offered that fight. So we'll see what they do. Aljo was looking thick octagon side, I'll tell you that. And I don't mean fat. I don't mean fat.
He's getting his meals in.
Merab's a little fucking backyard shed like Alir Latifi. All right, co-main event, Ken Flo. And again, if we missed anything on Chito and Rob Font, accept our apologies at AnikFlorianPod. Oh, man. I'm not going to throw the word robbery out there because Andrei Arlovsky lives like 5 minutes down the road and he might fucking come get me. But I really feel bad for Jake Collier because for the rest of his life, he's going to have to look at a red stripe on his Wikipedia page that says he lost to Andrei Arlovsky. And according to me and Andrei Arlovsky's head coach, Mike Brown, Jake Collier won that fight. And, this would have been a life/career changing win for the father of three boys, Jake Collier. And I feel for him.
Yeah, listen, man, it's funny. My father-in-law rarely texts me about fights. And I actually had to watch the fights a little bit later. And he texted me, he's like, what a robbery, blah, blah.
Right.
So big shout out to Big Rick. But
yes.
he thought that Collier won
Rick will fuck you up, by the way. I met Rick at Ken Flo's wedding. Dude. He will fuck you up. Rick Gilmer will fucking destroy you. Anyway.
He's a big guy.
Maybe he'll like that soundbite. I don't know. And Dr. Gus, you're still the top seed, so by a significant margin.
Yeah, man. Listen, this was a tough one. It's hard, right? Because Arlovsky's a guy who's been around forever, and he's such a legend. And he's still in this, still hungry, still fighting hard. But yeah, I thought Collier was going to get the nod, man. What was everyone's reaction in the arena when that happened?
Well, I think it was the loudest the Apex had ever been in my mind for a single fighter. So it was Team Arlovsky in there. Yeah. And Cody, perhaps you can go to the UFC News Twitter feed if you'd be so kind and pull up which judges had that fight for Andrei Arlovsky, and maybe if the round by round can be offered up to us, that would be great, because I believe the dissenting judge had it 30-27 for Jake Collier, which I think you could argue. I mean, Mike Brown was heard audibly on the broadcast saying, Kenny, that and I think you guys might have been in commercial break, if I'm not mistaken, but he said he was caught, and Mike picked him up saying he thought his guy Arlovsky had lost the first two rounds. No, I mean, it was a competitive fight. It was back and forth. People are criticizing me for calling it a war. Maybe that was a little bit too strong. I was fucking entertained. But no, I mean, I thought Jake Collier strategically fought the right fight. I thought he landed the more damaging strikes with elbows and knees. I thought he had a lot of good clinch situations. And I don't know. I guess I just feel like he's Collier. I mean, don't let his frame fool you. Don't let his body fat percentage fool you. Like, he has put in an insane amount of work. And I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. It just doesn't sit well with me. When you get the biggest fight of your career, you go win it according to, I don't know. It's just, I'm a little sour about this. All right. Mike Bell, 30-27 for Jake Collier. Douglas Crosby, 29-28. Arlovsky gave rounds 2 and 3 to Pitbull. And Sal D'Amato, who I think is the best judge in the business, gave 2 and 3 to Arlovsky. So there you have it, Ken Flo. Is what it is. I'll have to talk to Sal about that. All right, Joe Anderson Brito, if you saw the knockout against Andre Fili, this is a tough setback for Andre Fili, but very big moment for Joe Anderson Brito. Grant Dawson and Jared Gordon. Did you see that fight by chance?
I did.
Man, it's hard to change camps and to produce right away. I mean, I don't know how many weeks, 6 or 7 weeks maybe, that Grant Dawson had an American top team in South Florida, sort of left Glory MMA and Fitness unceremoniously. But man, Grant Dawson is, I agree with him. Like, he's the lightweight that needs a little bit more respect on his name.
He did great. I think that's where I thought he was going to get the better of Gordon. Gordon's so tough, and he's very consistent. He's good all the way around. I just thought Dawson's athleticism was going to give him an edge, and he was clearly the faster guy out there. And he was cleaner on the ground as well. Jared tends to give his back sometimes during fights, unfortunately, and that's where Grant really took advantage. And he did a good job of mixing things up with his strikes. He wasn't singular, minded and just trying to go for the choke or just looking for ground and pound. He was mixing things up, keeping Jared guessing, and ultimately got that rear naked choke, for the win at the end of that round there. So, good win for Grant. I think this is going to give him a lot of momentum and a lot of confidence in his camp and his team and his approach. A pretty solid win.
So when you're training for Aljamain Sterling, or you're training for Damian Maia, or you're training for Kenny Florian, a lot of that training camp is super fucking annoying, right? Having ideally Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts operating off of your back, and then, right, you get them off your back, and then you assume the bad position again.
Yeah. I
hear Coach Nick Lentz in sort of a simple way say to Jared, just if he takes you down, just don't let him get on your back. So when a whole training camp essentially is rooted in not letting the elite back taker take your back, and then your coach says, if he takes you down, so Jared acknowledged the mistake publicly, but why is that so much easier said than done?
I think there's this idea, and this is what you're kind of dealing with. You're dealing with a dilemma in that, in going to your back, or getting to your back, going to your guard position, you don't allow them to take your back, right? You have that floor behind you, but now you're dealing with someone putting pressure and weight on you and risking grounded pound and losing the round. And there's always that what if I just get back to my feet? What if I scramble to my feet real quick and I turn my back for just a second?
Right.
He's on my
right.
So that's what kept happening. He was turning away, but he didn't have that cage behind him. He was turning into space in the middle of the octagon, which allowed Grant to transition to his back. So that's where the mistake was happening. And I think he didn't want to lose that round. He wanted to scramble back to his feet, and he was hoping that Grant wouldn't be as quick as he was. And I think that's kind of where that tactic failed. And obviously kudos to Grant for taking advantage of it. But it was tough. That was a tough loss for Jared, man. A great guy.
And I really like seeing, excuse the voice crack, Grant Dawson at 155 pounds, man, former featherweight, used to deal with that awful cut. And I do think Grant Dawson's going to get a top 15 opponent, but this was a good test for him to pass against Jared Gordon. All right, so you got the calf slicer, the Peruvian necktie, spinning back fist. There are tons of ways to come out on top in the octagon. And for UFC 274, there is one more with DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC. New customers can bet $5 on any fighter to win and get $150 in free bets if they do. So pretty simple. Strategically choose your fighter. Then you sit back and watch the action unfold. I don't have to tell most of you, of course, that anything can happen on fight night. But with this offer from DraftKings Sportsbook, you got a sure thing for 274. Any fighter, you bet $5, get $150 if they win. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use promo code ANIK, ANIK. Throw down $5 on any UFC 274 fighter to win and get $150 in free bets if they do. That is code ANIK this Saturday at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details, and you can be sure Ken, Flo, and I are like 3 times the minimum age at this stage of our lives. All right. As you might expect, it's a pay-per-view week, and on the heels of Font and Vera, Ray Longo's got a lot to say. Let us get to the Ray Longo Minute.
It's now time for the Ray Longo Minute.
I want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest. That's what I want.
The Ray Longo Minute. Starring Ray Longo. The Jon Anik and Kenny Florian podcast.
There he is. Here's your timestamp, folks, if you want to fast forward to the Ray Longo Minute.
And this crap.
What? What's the problem?
You, man, you came out guns blazing. You were just snoring. You were snoring
a lot of
2
recreational
seconds
drugs
ago.
and coffee in my system. Let's go.
I love
How are
it.
you, buddy?
Good. Who go over the picks? Who did I pick last week?
Oh, I haven't the faintest idea.
Really?
Was it Chito? Or were you leaning towards Chito?
No, I took Chito. What's the matter with you guys? You have a
Yeah.
short memory when I'm
thought.
right.
No, I mean, I think I have to have a selective memory. I just got 30 fighters coming up this weekend, only so much room up there, Ray. I know Ken Flo was on the Chito side, I believe. Is that right, Ken Flo?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll tell you, but Rob Font, man, what a first round he had. Beautiful boxing. I don't know. Those
Every
guys,
round was great. He just was getting caught at the end. I was like,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
But,
Ray, what do you have
those
for us on
Boston
that
guys
fight?
are just tough as shit, though, man. Holy crap!
Yeah,
that whole team is. They got to be the toughest team around.
yeah. What were your thoughts overall just on the main event? I don't know if you have anything for us on the Font weight miss, if you think that was a factor at all. What do you got for us?
I mean, it's just I don't know if it was a factor, but it's just a very bad look at this stage of the game, and nothing more than that. Kind of ruins the fight for me, to be honest with you.
Well, right. I mean, there was a window there where it's like, oh, is he going to get medically cleared? Or can you imagine the main event goes away and then it becomes a disaster? I guess we were just sort of wondering aloud, like, you never really know, right? I've certainly seen fighters struggle far more on the scale. He came in well before 11 a.m. local time. The weight wasn't coming off. But we're not going to hook people up to a lie detector to see if this was sort of a decision that was made to just stop cutting weight to try to, benefit the tank or the performance on Saturday night. I just don't know. I had just asked off the top of the show, like, hey, man, if Font has a real tough cut and he cuts 2.5 more pounds, does one of those Chito shots actually remove him from consciousness and get him out of there? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's a good question, but
what about Chito, man? I mean, what about Chito? What do you have for us on Chito?
Man, he just, look, he's a scrappy guy. He's got a great gas tank. He's got a set of whiskers on him, and he's willing to take a couple to get what he wants to get eventually. And he's got a variety of attacks that he could get you with. Nothing tremendous, but enough to, do exactly what he did. And he wasn't going anywhere. He was having fun. You could see he was in the moment, even when he was out of the moment, he was in the moment. And Rob Font, I think it started looking like a guy swimming without a life preserver. You just knew he was going to drown eventually. It just looked not comfortable. And he was doing good, but when you're piecing the guy up like that and he's laughing at you and doing that stuff, it could take its toll on you. So I think Chito's. He's a dog, man. You're going to have to really get him out of there or he's going to be in your face for the whole 25 minutes.
Chito's a pretty big bantamweight. He's been working with perfecting athletes forever and just takes everything about this fight game so seriously. He's so obsessed with every little detail, and I think it really shows. It's really crazy. Well, not so much, I guess, but the fact that he's on a championship trajectory. And, of course, you got the guy who has the belt. So, it's interesting to see Aljo and MERRROW, obviously, octagon side and watching all of this. And, dude, bantamweight is just on fire right now.
Oh no, what a great division. That first 6 or 7 guys, man, is every one of those combinations is a great fight. Every one of them.
So what do you think is going to happen with Aljamain Sterling, right? It seemed like TJ Dillashaw was going to be the guy. Then Jose Aldo goes public, sort of suggesting that maybe he's been offered the fight. I'm not looking for breaking news, but you have 2 guys in the top 6, including the champion. I'm curious what you think is going to happen, with Aljamain Sterling and MERRROW Dvalishvili.
I really thought the Preux MERRROW fight was a done deal. I mean, I said that a couple of weeks ago because MERRROW told me that.
Okay.
And you're telling me no, but I thought that was the fight. That's all right. Don't say, you don't have to say. I'm not attacking you. I'm just I really thought that was a done deal, but I'm wrong, obviously.
Maybe it is. Maybe my information isn't good.
No,
I know it's been bandied about. I don't know.
I mean, it was bandied about 3 weeks ago. Last time I saw MERRROW at Aljo's fight, he told me that. So
all right, so your guy wants that fight.
MERRROW couldn't care who he doesn't care who he he'll take any. Right. He doesn't care. Right. Right. He's not calling anybody out. He's not looking for any. Right. He just wants a date and he wants to go in and fight. That's his mentality.
And what about Aljo? If you had a best guess as to who they're going to give him, I mean, Henry Cejudo's not going to come in and get a title fight, is he?
No, I don't believe he will. No. I thought, so when he called out Dillashaw, I thought that was going to be the fight. That I know nothing at all about. And I haven't.
So you don't know if
Aljo.
Dillashaw's healthy, or I mean, we still don't know. Yeah, right.
No, not zero. It just seemed like the way that whole thing went down. I thought even Dana alluded to that would be the fight, but again, I don't know anything about that.
Because I don't know. I feel like, and I don't know, Cody is a guy who spends a lot of time with Aljo doing his weekly podcast. I just feel like if Aljo could get back, he's got a lot of momentum right now. I mean, everybody wants a piece of Aljo. I think I'm doing a DraftKings shoot with him next week for UFC 274. Fans mobbing him. Like, I think fighting the next 3 months as opposed to the next 9 months waiting for TJ Dillashaw would be useful for your guy. It's sort of what I'm getting at, Like, this division is on fire. Let's keep this fucking thing going,
Yeah, no, look, I think he made it pretty clear at the press conference and everything, or after the fight at the scrum, whatever they call it, that he wanted to take some time off. So I don't think he's fighting within 3 months. You know what I mean? I could see 5 months probably. 9 months is a little long, but
You're definitely saying December for Aljo, most likely, huh?
Yeah, I would think so. Something like that.
All right. Very interesting stuff. All right. I want to get some stuff out of you on UFC 274, unless there was anything else. We talked about Jake Collier and Andre Arlovsky. I really thought Collier won that fight. I mean, I have buckets of respect for Andre, but I felt like Collier really deserved better. You got anything on that?
I thought that was an easy fight to score for Collier, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You're doing okay on this Sunday morning?
Why, pump me up, do something.
Well, yeah, we're going to be on opposite sides of this, Cruz Dwalish Willie situation if it happens, and we'll argue off the air, But I sense a little bit of negative energy from you.
Really? Okay. Today? No. I don't know. You're getting me self-conscious like you always do. You're bullying me.
Well, you still haven't gotten that haircut, but people get so upset when I talk about anything but mixed martial arts on here. So got to be careful.
I know. Supposed to be tonight, but I don't think that's happening either. So we'll see.
All right. So Big Gun Brian Petrie is going to come on and make picks here shortly, but I just want to get a few thoughts from you, Raymond, on this championship fight card coming up at UFC 274 in Phoenix, Arizona. Tony Ferguson, Michael Chandler. Chandler's a 4-1 favorite.
Yeah, I'm going with Chandler on that.
What do you expect from Tony? Ken Flo, save your fucking bullets, bro.
Honestly, I just hope he's okay. That's what I'm hoping for. Just that we see something of the old form out of him, and he seems like he's in a better spot than he's been in the last bunch of fights. But we'll see. I think things get harder as you get older, so he's got a big mountain to climb.
Guy won 12 straight fights at 155 pounds in the UFC. If that doesn't get you in the Hall of Fame, I just don't know what exactly you need to do. Rose Namajunas and Carla Esparza, I will admit to being a little bit surprised at the betting line here. Esparza obviously is on an absolute tear, but I thought Rose would be closer to a 3-1 favorite. She's about minus 175 or so. What do you think about that fight?
I think Rose gets it done. I think that line is based on Esparza's wrestling, and that she'll be able to get it to the floor over and over again. But I think that I don't think it's going to be an easy fight. I think that fight's going to be tougher than you think.
Oh, I'm not suggesting. I'm just talking about.
Well, I mean, 3-1 is a noticeable. That's a sizable. Like, you're guaranteed to win almost.
Yeah, but, minus 60 is a threshold where, you feel pretty good about it. Yeah, no, I guess I write down what I think the betting line's going to be before I take a look, and I was way off on that.
I got you. So
take it for what it's worth. And then Charles Oliveira and Justin Gaethje. We'll need a selection on that as well.
Wow. I got to go with Oliveira on that. I think it's his time. He handled Michael Chandler pretty good. I think that's a gauging point, but obviously on the floor, I think there's going to be a wide discrepancy. And I think Oliveira he's been looking really, really sharp on his feet. And I think I got to lean towards Oliveira on that. But, Gaethje could get you out of there at any point in time, man. And, he could break you down too. But I think Oliveira gets it done. I think he's been the more active guy too and taking less damage. I think that what was his last fight with Chandler when they just went berserk on each other?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that shit starts to chip away at you too eventually. You know? So we'll see. You know,
maybe Aljamain Sterling at Madison Square Garden in November. That would be a good spot for him.
Wow.
Take it back to that Nassau Coliseum. You know.
Oh, I'd love to get back to the Coliseum. That would be. That's his hometown. That would be a dream come true.
All right, at Ray Longo MMA at Anik Florian Pod, if you would like to chime in on what the bet will be. If Dominic Cruz and Merab Dvalishvili share the octagon, Ray and I will do a bet.
Wow.
Maybe you'll shave your head if Dom wins, and if Merab wins, I'll get like a Georgian flag tattooed or something. We'll figure it out.
Kenny, you're actually going to side with Cruz?
Who, Kenny or me? No,
you.
All right, so I was talking about this off the air, didn't intend to do it on the air, but I feel very conflicted in all this business because I don't know that Aljo's ever had a bigger supporter than me throughout his UFC career. I have so much love for Merab that I make the Georgian flag tattooed on me anyway. But, you know, other than Ken Flo, you know, like if Dom was fighting Kenny, I'd probably root for Kenny. But other than that,
that's it.
Dom is one of my best friends in the world. So
basically, it is you are to Kenny what Merab is to Aljo.
Right.
Well, I don't know if Kenny.
And I'm not even going to complete what that actually is.
But no, but like if I have an MMA fight at 125 pounds, Ken Flo and Dom both be in my fucking corner. Maybe Longo too. We'll see.
Wow.
Would you corner me, Ray? No, you want to corner my twin brother.
Can you see this?
What?
3.
Yeah.
3.
What?
3 champs.
Dude, I know, dude. It really is like this. I know. I mean, put him in the goddamn Hall of Fame. The artwork with you with the crossed arms.
That was cool. Yeah, that shout out to Loretta and Anthony DeLemme, who's making his pro debut on May 20th. The fight you were supposed to go to, but you can't. Right. Yeah, shout out to them too. They gave me an early birthday present, very early birthday.
So Anthony DeLemme and Steve Lee are both making their pro debut on May 20th.
And Aljo's brother.
Oh, wow.
Oh, this is a big. This is John. This is the event you should be at.
No, it should be. Yeah. Well, let me talk to Ketlin Vieta and Holly Holm and see if they mind if I step away. I'm sure they don't give a shit.
They're not going to mind. Come on.
No, at all.
Hey, one more thing.
Yes, please.
Shout out to the Chicken Pound, baby. 4-year anniversary. 4 years. Carla doing a great job. Unbelievable. You guys are missing out. I want you guys on the Chicken Pound bandwagon by next week.
Oh, I got some Chicken Pound. I got some chicken. They sent me some. It's awesome.
How was it?
It's great.
There you go.
It's fantastic.
Chicken Pound. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
So
4
are they
years,
going to be the presenting sponsor of the Ray Longo Minute? Is that my initiative to get that done, as you sort of alluded to on social media, to get that Chicken Pound sponsorship done?
I mean, I talked to Cody, so obviously he's not the guy to get it done. So who do I got to go up there? You just keep going up the ladder until you hit somebody.
That's right. And Ken Flo's at the top of the food chain, and they're already sending chicken. There you go.
No pun intended. He's at the top of the food chain.
All right. So when will we see you again on the UFC road? Not for a while, I guess, right?
Not for a while, yeah.
All right.
A couple of surprises coming up. A couple of surprises coming up in the summer, though. I'm not at liberty to say anything.
Hey.
All right. Okay. Well, a lot of people we were trying to figure out a nickname for Longo. I know the Godfather was submitted. That's okay, but a little bit sort of overplayed.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Another one that was pretty good that's escaping me. Saif Saud's the General, so that's taken. There was one great nickname. I'm hoping Cody will fire it in the chat before I get you off the air, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Anything else before we let you fly, Raymond?
I think that's it, guys.
All right, well, we appreciate
he wants to go. He's like, let me go.
In my face. I know. He's like,
I'm not laughing at you. Wait, I tell you, I love you. I'm not attacking you. People think I attack them, Kenny. I think it's a Long Island thing. We just attack everybody, and we don't realize it. You know what I mean? I love the guy. I don't know. I don't know how many times I can say it.
And if people want to think I'm sensitive, then that's fine.
Yeah, but John, your arms like that, they're almost instigating. You send
a lot of nonverbal going on.
It's like a gang sign. Yeah, it's like you get that in Rikers Island a lot when a guy wants to shank you.
Yeah, a psychotherapist would be like, your body language is very
oh, man.
All right, my brother. Well, it's great to see you as always, and we will talk to you next Monday. Next Monday, Ken Flo's going to do the whole Ray Longo Minute, and I'm just going to sit back. So
really, you're gonna let me date your boyfriend? I'm surprised at that.
Yeah, so you can haze him for the lack of pointed questions on a Sunday. Oh, is that all you got? You're going to talk about your fucking daughter again?
All right, guys.
See you, Ray.
I'm bailing out.
Yeah,
Take it easy.
You half wanted to be here today, huh? The Ray Longo minute.
He's like, shit,
Every
gotta
week.
do the Anik and Florian.
I know. It's like shit for the 347th
Yeah.
straight week. I gotta fucking go on with those guys. Paying me an average of like $3.50 an episode over the 7-year lifetime of the show. All right. UFC 274, Oliveira versus Gaethje, Footprint Center, Phoenix, Arizona, Saturday, May 7th, live on pay-per-view. We got some picks to make. We're calling in the big guns. Let's get to the main event challenge.
It's the main event challenge. Anik.
The time is most definitely now.
Florian.
I finish fights. I'm gonna do everything possible to win.
The main event challenge. The Jon Anik and Kenny Florian podcast.
Yes, sir.
Gun Brian Petrie at MMA Takes Podcast.
That's
Your
right.
T-shirt.
Thank
Tapper
you.
T-shirt. You got Value Boys T-shirts.
I do. I think I have one coming to you in the mail there, sir.
You're the man. Kenflo got you last week on the picks. Is that correct?
He got me. He got me with the Dawson, Gordon Reed. It was nice. It was nice on him. I went heavy underdogs. And Gordon and Jared Merskar didn't pan out for me, but I switched to Chito because of the weight cut. I made that official on the code. He got me on the So and Chito bailed me out. I hit some nice little props, which isn't really my strong suit. So I'm up $65.
All right.
So we're gonna count it. No bed frame, no fridge, but we're gonna fucking count it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do need to ask your thoughts because of my own personal curiosity on Rob Font and Chito Vera. There was certainly a lot to unpack in that main event.
Yeah, I mean, what the fuck is Chito made of? I mean, Jesus. I mean,
Yeah.
he took 200 shots and a mark on him, and he landed some big shots on Font. Font great. Font landed over 200 strikes. The problem is you guys mentioned it earlier, he just kept getting hurt. And Chito, that's what Chito does, man. He's I think the one big weapon of him is his eyes, is his visuals. He can cover up, he can shell up, take some good shots, take stuff on the elbow, and he reads you, and he's got dangerous kicks. That freaking Shawn Michaels goddamn sweet chin music put him down. I thought that was it. I thought that was a wrap. Then the knee, and then that left hand was active all night. I mean, it's a beautiful performance by Chito. It's a guy that ever since before the O'Malley fight, I definitely slept on. I'm like, he's a good guy, but how good is he? And then he just walked through O'Malley, who I have really high regard for. I'm like, oh, this dude's a fucking G. I like this guy.
Yeah.
But props to Font. I mean, he could have walked out of there. He could have quit. It looked like he had 2 broken orbitals. Yep. The guy's tough as nails. It was very competitive. It just came down to him getting hurt at the end of those rounds. And you got to think maybe if the weight cut had an issue with that, maybe he came with an injury. There's a lot of question marks. And usually weight cuts don't scare me off of bets, but when he slipped on the scale and he looked kind of shaky at the stare downs, that's when I'm like, I got to get off this guy. I think something was going on. I don't know if he'll ever come out and say it, but didn't look good. But good for Chito.
Is that the first miss for Font at 35?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is interesting when you talk about all the strikes being landed because I don't know the true accuracy of those numbers. All I know is that it's a human being calling them out, calling them out as a broadcaster and the person who's counting them, so it's like, yeah, you could go back and watch it, but I don't know. I think I'm more inclined sometimes as a play-by-play guy to call it as a land than a block. And you try to watch it as closely as you can, but all right, let's move it forward, fellas. First fight for us today. One of my favorites on what is now a 15 fight card. Khaos Williams, -135. Rude Boy Randy Brown is +115. And I think both of these guys, to my eyes, are better than even you think they are. Like, they really are players. Brown's 1-4-5 coming into his own, and Khaos at 28, Bri, is just an absolute force. Very curious to see on which side you're going to fall. Who do you have here, Khaos Williams and Randy Brown?
Banger alert. Way to start off the pick'ems here. I mean, the guy's name's Khaos. I don't know if that's legally, if he legally changed his name, but we're off to a goddamn good start. I thought he'd fall short in the UFC. I remember him coming in, and he's a Michigan guy, so he's a little north of me, and I remember kind of looking up at him and seeing, and I just thought, he's a little stiff, very powerful, but his striking wasn't super fluid. His kicks were very rigid. Obviously, he has tons of power, but gosh, that power is something else. I mean, his cardio checks out. He's physically big. But I just didn't know how he would stack up. So I was kind of dead wrong because he's looked pretty good besides that one miss in the UFC, which was a competitive fight over Michel Pereira. And then Rude Boy Brown's a guy who's been up and down the UFC. He's had mixed UFC career, choppy. But he's huge for 170. And the biggest issue with him, I think, is two things. I think it's his confidence, number one, and a little bit of a chin issue as well. You know, he's been knocked out a few times. I think that maybe was a drastic weight cut to 70 because he's a big guy. I think he'll probably finish his career at 85. But he's 31 now. Looks like he's kind of got everything dialed in, and he looks so good against Jaron Gooden last time out. Night Train, which is one of the all-time great nicknames. And but he was styling on him. You know what I mean? He was shuffling his feet, throwing kicks. He broke his foot. His dad was in the audience for the first time, and he looked good. This could be Khaos take another head, or this could be Randy Brown fighting smart, because I think he has the advantage on the ground. We haven't really seen Khaos off his back. I think Randy Brown has some tricky – he is a black belt. I know he has some tricky arm locks. Decent little chokes as well. So I'm going to go Rude Boy because he's the underdog, and also because I think he's the more well-rounded guy. But I wouldn't be surprised if Khaos just takes his head clean off because Brown has been knocked out. Official pick is Randy Brown by submission.
Randy Brown by submission for Brian Petrie. Ken Flo, I'm glad I don't have to make a selection. You do. Who do you have?
This is going to be a great fight. I kind of have the same assessment that Brian does. I think Khaos is very dangerous. All it takes is one shot. But I still think, while he has, gotten better as a striker, I still think he's a little tight and tends to load up and telegraph what he's doing. I think Randy Brown is definitely taking the approach of he wants to be a great mixed martial artist. He's trying to be better in all areas. You can see that. He seems way more focused. He seems way more comfortable in the octagon now. And I think he's streaking at the right time. I like Randy Brown here as well. I think his length and I think his MMA IQ is going to be the difference here. Not sure he gets a finish. Can he? Absolutely. He's got to avoid those big bombs, but I think Randy Brown, Rude Boy, gets it done.
Beautiful Jamaican pronunciation.
Nailed it.
Not
nice
the guy.
Very interesting. I think Khaos Williams might surprise you guys a little bit.
Ooh, that's a pick. That's a pick from John. John the Sharp. Yep.
Yeah.
I love Randy Brown, though. He's probably my favorite New Yorker on the roster. Like Cody writes, Anik needs a Longo Weidman MMA tattoo. Like I'm going to get a New York gym tattoo logo on my body. I mean, fucking no. All right, at lightweight, we're going to have Ken Flo lead us off here. Donald Cowboy Cerrone minus 170. Joe Lauzon is plus 150. Very interesting fight here between two UFC veterans. 38th UFC start for Cerrone, whose last win came against Raging Ally Quinta all the way back in May of 2019. He is 39 years of age. On the other side, Joe Lauzon fights, on an average of once every couple of years right now. As some of you know, he headlined against Kenny Florian all the way back in 2008 and got fucking destroyed, is what my script says. He did.
It's true.
What, Ken Flo? I mean, there's some people who are new listeners who maybe don't know about your career, and they can go to UFCFightPass.com and Google UFC Fight Night, Broomfield, Colorado, at altitude, Ken Flo and Joe Lauzon. And Joe finally took the ice off his forehead last weekend. All right. Sorry. But Lauzon's still going strong. It's now 2022. And if he listens to this before our fighter meeting,
he's going to kill you.
So his last appearance, though, was like a high-quality win, Kenny, and a stoppage of Jonathan Pierce, JSP, who looks fucking awesome since. But that was almost 3 years ago. So what are your thoughts? Lauzon, Cerrone the favorite.
Yeah, this is interesting, man. Obviously both these guys at the tail end of their careers, right? I don't think Cerrone's won a fight since May 2019. It's been a little while. Good to see Joe get back on track. It's fascinating also because Cerrone, again, I'm just everybody kind of knows this, tends to be a slow starter. Joe Lauzon tends to be a fast starter, likes to get right after it. And I think that's his best chance here against Cerrone is go right after him, look for that takedown, look for those crazy flurries early on, and try to take him out early. That tends to be what Lauzon does anyway. And I think that's where Cerrone really needs to be careful here. Wouldn't be surprised if Lauzon gets it done, in round one. Cerrone tends to make adjustments a little bit later. Once he gets in his rhythm, watch out. Cerrone puts together beautiful combinations when he's in his rhythm. When he's able to stop takedowns, he, kind of builds his confidence from there. So I'm curious to see how it goes. Both guys have been in some crazy fights, Cerrone more so, and Lauzon has been in a lot of wars, but Cerrone, of course, has been in all the wars. I don't know how much damage these guys can take. If it comes down to that, maybe Lauzon can take more. I don't know. So this is a tricky one for me, but I'm going to go the way of Joe Lauzon. I think he gets it done, maybe by TKO, maybe by submission early. If not, wouldn't be surprised if Cerrone, gets a win by stoppage himself, maybe with the TKO on the feet or something. But let's go Joe Lauzon here against Cerrone.
All right, Ken Flo likes the dog. Joe Lauzon plus 150. Bri, what do you have, sir?
I felt like just a fan again, just watching Kenny absolutely destroy that breakdown there. Way to go, Ken. Listen, the Legends division, this is what this fight is. There's been talks about the Legends division. I would love to see Ken Flo hop in the Legends division and take a fucking neck home with them. One more time, Kenny.
If Kenny was born in 1984 instead of the year he was born, I'm not going to say, but because like even Lauzon, like you're a lot older, Joe,
Yeah.
Anyway,
old.
Kenny's like, thanks. Yeah, we're all.
I still think Kenny can get it done. And it's kind of odd to look at Cowboys' record and see all this red because the guy was, he's high profile fight and he's had a crazy skid. 5 losses, 4 of them coming by finish, which is a big yikes. The Morono fight was the one that kind of shocked me. I had him in the Morono fight. Now, no disrespect to Alex Morono, but Cowboy just not want to be there. I know he's a slow starter. I know has overcome some nervousness before fights. He's talked about it, which I think is great. The mental health side of things, which is an awesome thing to talk about, but he just did not look like he wanted to be there. Joe Lauzon, the pride of Bronx and Mass, this dude's debut came against Jens Pulver, slapped him, made me go absolutely ape shit in my room, flipped my bed over, couldn't believe it because I had Jens Pulver in very high regard. And then obviously one of Kenny's former victims. I don't want to talk about that. John already covered that, but his inconsistency has been the biggest problem with Lauzon. He's probably the longest tenured guy at the UFC that hasn't had a title shot because he wins a big one, then he loses a big one. And but he's coming off a huge win over Jonathan Pierce, who hasn't lost the UFC since and has looked amazing. That was back in 2019. Yeah. We all thought maybe he's gonna retire. He's not. He just kind of gave a speech and left it open-ended. I think it's winnable for both guys. I think obviously Cowboy needs to stay at range, throw his kicks. Lauzon is susceptible to high kicks in the past. Lauzon, like Kenny mentioned, he blitzes for you. He's a one-round fighter, I think, at this point. And I don't mean that in disrespect. He can swarm you. He can get on top of you. After that first round, it's going to be a little bit of an issue. I think this is a great live betting spot here because I think Cowboy, the longer the fight goes, I do think he's going to take over. But we've seen Cowboy get put out in the first round pretty quick. Slow starter versus fast starter. You're giving me a dog. I'm taking Lauzon by KO.
All right. Both guys aligned at least through a couple fights. We move along now. Also on pay-per-view, a light heavyweight rematch between Ovince St. Preux, minus 240, and Mauricio Shogun, who plus 195. Bri, we will go right back to you on this one. First meeting went to St. Preux. Your thoughts on Shogun here as the dog in the rematch?
The single best editing job anyone's ever done is when they threw that skateboard in there. And it's the funniest thing. It's absolute gold. I can't believe Shogun's 40, guys. I mean, he must have been fighting in Pride when he was, 12, 13 years old? I mean, I feel like this guy's been around forever. He had a nice little run there. Between 2016 2020, he was beating some guys. But the competition was kind of catered to him a little bit. That's no disrespect. He did have a couple good wins in there, but there's no disrespect in Shogun on my watch. I want to keep this short and sweet. I think OSP is going to get this done. He's popped up to heavyweight. He's a huge guy. I think he needs to get some juice back here and with 2 back-to-back losses here. So I like OSP by KO. Don't know if it's going to happen in the first round, but I like OSP by KO.
Ken Flo, Shogun is a man. He's 40. Last appearance, November of 2020, UFC 255. He was stopped by Paul Berju Craig.
There it is.
So about an 18-month layoff for Shogun. Your thoughts on him here against St. Preux?
John, you are right. Shogun is a man. He is that last time I checked. Yeah, he just listen, dude. He's such a legend. Again, I always go back to 2005 where I was at peak Shogun fanboy level. Everything he was doing in Pride and getting a chance to meet him and train with him and his brother was so cool.
Those little shorts and everything, I know.
Yeah, everything about it. Yeah, it was nice. Good legs. He's been around a long time, man. I was excited, and then I realized, oh, wait a sec, Shogun's been fighting a really long time. I hope that it's something where, he feels good physically, mentally, spiritually, where he's like, no, I want to go back there. I want to beat this dude who knocked me out. I hope that's the case. I assume that's the case. Is his body healthy after a training camp and all that stuff? I don't know. I hope he's taking maybe a smarter approach to his training camp. And OSP is a guy that, he's always been dangerous. I'm not sure I've ever been on the OSP train necessarily, just because of his inconsistency. Even within rounds, I feel like he'll do some amazing stuff and he'll do some stuff that could really get him hurt badly. And I'm not sure he is necessarily hungry at this stage of his career. I think he might be competing to get a check. I hope that's not the case, because physically he's very talented. But technically, I'm not sure he really came around the way I thought he was going to.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And, it's an interesting fight. But, I think OSP has the advantage here. For Shogun, I just think he's fought way too much. And I think physically OSP is going to be better. I think he's going to be more comfortable in that octagon at this stage. And, yeah, this is a tough one for me. I'm not sure I really want to see it, but let's go OSP here.
And I think you may be onto something with St. Preux. I think we'll be able to glean a lot from him during fight week in the fighter meeting in terms of where his hunger for the preparation is at,
Right.
Because I just don't know that the championship hunger is there, and I hope to be wrong, but fight week is a pretty wide lens into where these fighters are at in terms of the motivation and the preparation. All right. Michael Chandler, minus 410 in a featured lightweight bout here against Tony Ferguson, who comes back at plus 310. Ferguson's a legend in my mind. Anyone who's listened to this show knows that. I'll say it again. He won 12 straight fights at 155 pounds, still didn't fight for the undisputed title because of all these crazy circumstances. I feel a kinship with Michael Chandler on the other side as well. I have a personal friendship with him, and I know someone's going to lose this fight. The odds makers suggest that it's going to be Tony Ferguson, Bry. His last win came against Donald Cerrone. That was 3 years ago at UFC 238. Michael Chandler, 36 as of a couple days ago. Busy first year in the UFC, largely productive, but he has lost 2 in a row, despite a lot of fanfare with his last fight. What are your thoughts here? Bry, we will lead with you on this one. Tony Ferguson, plus 310. Michael Chandler, minus 410.
It's a dream fight for a lot of MMA fans right now. Everyone has this circled as fight of the night. No way. I'll bet my house it's not going to be a boring fight. But here's the brutal truth, right? Chandler has more skills flat out. He just does. Tony has been exposed in the grappling, in my opinion, his past 2 times out, and that's something that he was really relying on and heavy on. No one can take me down. That's a direct quote from him, working with Eddie Bravo and everything. But Chandler needs to dust off that D1 singlet. I love the go to wars with Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje. I love the wars, but we need to start winning fights if you're Michael Chandler. You know what I mean? We need to start getting the fights won. And I think he can do that. He mixes it up. He's got great leg kicks. That's something really big in his game and the organization. He mixes up his strikes well. He wrestles, but not too much because he has a tendency to slow down. And that's the one thing that's not going away with Tony. Tony's not slowing down. Now, I never thought I'd be talking about Tony Ferguson on a 3-fight losing streak because, like John mentioned earlier, he was on a 12-fight winning streak for one period of time. But again, going to be brutally honest, and I don't, I am willing to say this to Tony Ferguson's face, no matter what the outcome may be. But I don't love his post-fight comments after each loss. I think there's been some built-in excuses. I think he's training with some guys that are probably he leads the training camp. He does what he wants to do, and I know he's left some coaches in the past, and I just think he needs a coach to sit him down and say, "Hey, listen, let's put the fucking baseball down. Let's take the glasses off." And let's get to work here. Because, the wrestling has been exposed. But it's not like he's losing to scrubs. Don't get me wrong. He's losing to high-level guys, but I just don't love the way he's approached it. Now, he's been a little quiet. I've scrubbed the social media. You have to decipher his texting or his tweets because they're not in English, really.
Right.
But I just don't like his mental coming in this fight, and I just don't know if he's changed enough. And I love Tony Ferguson. I wish he would have maybe not changed camps, but maybe changed. And maybe he has. Maybe I'm completely speaking out of turn here. But I would love to take Tony at that number because I think, he's willing to go in there and he's willing to die in there. Few fighters are, but Michael Chandler has all the tools to win here. I think he puts on a good display. I think he's going to fight smart. I think he's going to come out rest a little bit because the game plan's there. I like Chandler by decision here, even though it's a pretty big number.
Ken, Flo, I mentioned like with a guy like Ovince St. Preux, I'll probably be able to extract some things out of him. With Ferguson, I'm not so sure. You might get out of that fighter meeting and not even know exactly who his primary coaches or training partners were. But I just hope that he sort of showcases himself well, win or lose. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, me too, man. Brilliant stuff there from Brian Petrie. But Michael Chandler's not fighting smart. Come on, he's not fighting smart. Who are you kidding? Come on, man. He had the opportunity to do that in the first 3 fights. I don't know. I keep thinking that too. I thought that for the first 3 fights. Listen, Chandler, he's been around. He wants to be a champ here. He's going to take the approach. Like, what was he doing in the Charles Oliveira fight? He followed him on the ground? Like, come on, man. And then, seeing some of his comments on Twitter and stuff and how he really loves just going out there to deliver fights for the fans, which is cool. That's fine. And that's his goal. You just can't expect to win fights that way every single time out. And we're seeing a skid because of it. But I do think this is one of those fights where potentially he could take that approach and still win this fight. Why? Because Tony Ferguson isn't what he used to be. He doesn't have the same kind of chin and Terminator 2 walk through everything that's thrown your way and then just destroy you. So I like this fight. I think Chandler wins this as well. I think there's some value on Tony here, I think. But, both these guys have been in so many crazy fights at this point. So both kind of tend to just throw the dice when they fight. I don't see that necessarily changing here for Chandler, but I just think Chandler is more powerful. I think he's faster. I think he's a phenomenal athlete. Both guys as mentally tough as they come, both studs, Hall of Fame type careers. So I like this fight. I think this is a fight that makes sense.
Yeah.
But really, if we're looking at this fight, it's like who's taking more damage, who's going to fight smarter, which makes it tricky. But I think Chandler here as well.
You think he knocks him out?
No, I don't think he knocks him out cold. If he wins, maybe TKO.
Yeah,
something like that. But yeah.
All right, co-main event. I'm curious to hear the handicap here. Strawweight title fight. Rose Namajunas -195 on DraftKings Sportsbook right now. Carla Esparza +165. Esparza has really earned this chance to become a 2-time UFC strawweight champion. It's very hard to win 5 straight fights at 115 pounds in the UFC. She beat Vina Janjidoba, Alexa Grasso, Michelle Waterson, Marina Rodriguez, and then stopped Yan Xiaonan about a year ago. That was May of 2021. Kind of bided her time, finally rewarded with the title shot. Now, the first time these two fought, it was for the inaugural strawweight title. It was 2014. It was the year in which this division was introduced in the UFC. And Namajunas was 2-1 as a pro. She was 22 years old. Now she's a 29-year-old world beater, future Hall of Famer, and yet the price is only -195. Now, perhaps there's some big gap in MMA wrestling that I am missing here. This is not prediction time for me. I'm just surprised at the number, Brian. Your thoughts on the strawweight championship fight and ultimately how you see it playing out.
First off, Cody, if we can get like the NBA jams, he's on fire on Kenny's little window here because the guy is on fire today.
He's trying to soften me up. He's trying to weaken.
Hold on. Let me stretch it out here, boys. All right. Listen, John, you can't be further more right. Excuse me. You're right. I think Carla is one of the most disrespected fighters in the division, and I thought we were going to get a huge number on her. This is the toughest fight for me to predict on the card. I love this fight. I hold both female fighters in really high regard. Carla's an OG. She's fucking beating everyone. I know a lot of these are close. She's been an underdog darling a lot. She's been very friendly to my wallet. And Rose is just an adorable, sweet, smart, talented killer in there. And it's nice. She's a good face for the division. Now, both these girls have fought the who's who, and I really did think we were going to get Carla north of 200. Plus 165 scares me a little bit because is the value there? Am I going to be a value boy? But Rose won at this fight, which I love. There's a lot of rumors after the Weili rematch that Carla wasn't going to get it. Right. And Rose was like, no. This is who I want because she beat her. That's a competitive edge. I love that shit. She got me back in 2014. Let me get this back now that I'm champ. I'm now a full-round fighter. But Rose hasn't really fought anybody on her record that fights like Carla. Carla is a good wrestler, a good grappler. We saw Rose grapple Weili in the rematch. Very close. Rose has jiu-jitsu. The only person you can compare to is Andrade. In the first fight, she got slammed on her head. So we didn't really get to see much. In the second fight, they stood up the whole time, and it was an arguably very, very close fight. Carla, I think she's training smart. She's on, I think she had a little couple blips early in her career. The Reino Marcos fight is a very ugly loss for her. But other than that, right now, this current win streak is super impressive. And I'm so torn on this fight because I like Rose a lot. Ray person, everything I addressed earlier. But Carla's a dog, and she matches up really well with Rose. And I think there's two tales of this fight. I'm going to break it down as simply as I can. Rose is a better striker. Carla knows that. I think Rose thinks that her jiu-jitsu is going to be okay off her back because she does have very good jiu-jitsu. I don't know if she can win the fight off her back. I don't know if she can catch anything on Carla. So with that being said, and new boys, give me Carla by decision.
Woo!
Wow. Yeah!
Big gun Brian Petrie likes Carla Esparza to become a 2-time UFC strawweight champion.
All about matchups. I wish I could have juicier price.
Ken Bry mentioned that Rose Namajunas had a healthy appetite for this fight and kind of called her shot as the champion wanting this matchup. Now, part of that is the revenge factor, but I also think she likes the matchup. What are your thoughts on the matchup that Brian does not believe is super favorable for the incumbent champion?
Get rid of the big gun. Give me big chills. That was nice. I like it. I like it. I'm even more excited about this fight after hearing that. And I know exactly why Brian is going that way, because guess what? I don't think Rose is going to be able to get up off of her back. And I don't think Carla throws herself off position that much once she settles into a guard. Like, in the transition, that's where she has to be careful. That's where Rose is most dangerous, transitioning in between positions. But once they settle into position, Carla is going to keep you on your back, and she's going to beat you up, and she's going to chip away and be annoying and be frustrating. And that is very tiring on you. Can she do it consistently? I don't know. The problem is Carla, is still very rough when it comes to the stand-up game. She makes a lot of mistakes there. She's very vulnerable there. But there's no question that she can win this fight. So I totally see it. I think there's value there. I just think Rose is going to be a little smarter this time around. Of course, I remember, did we call the first fight between Esparza and Rose? Did. Yeah.
When we were much closer to our primes, much fucking better looking.
Yes, much better.
22-year-old girls, not that they were looking at me in 2014, but they're really not fucking looking at me now,
No, hey,
like they are not checking me out now.
John, I got to tell you this, because when my wife met you at Columbus, she would have killed me if I told you this in person. Back in 2013, when we got together, you did an interview. She goes, "Who's that guy in the cage?" I go, "Oh, the fighter." And I start breaking. No, the guy interviewing him. I was like, "Oh, that's Jon Anik." She's like, "He's super hot." So you got a fan, Johnny.
You still got it.
Yeah, dude, John.
There's a market for the salt hair, dude.
There's a market for
there's a market for that.
Rose feet. The fucking my daughter now says like, "Wow, you have like a hook nose. You look like you have like a witch nose, Daddy." Thanks, honey, because my nose never stops growing. So
they're very honest, aren't they? They're very honest. So I'm going Rose, dude. I'm going with Rose Namajunas. I think she gets it done. But I'm a little nervous about it.
More nervous than you were at the outset of the program.
But I think Rose. I think it would be to her advantage to try to finish this one. I think if it goes to decision, it's going to be tricky. Yeah.
All right, main event for the undisputed UFC lightweight championship. Charles Oliveira, one of the greatest fighters in UFC history in terms of what he's put on paper. Minus 165 here, the favorite in what I believe is his second title defense against the plus 145 Safford, Arizona native Justin Gaethje. I believe this arena is about 165 miles from where Gaethje went to high school. He's going to have a lot of the crowd behind him, you would think. Oliveira's got a pretty good American fan base as well, though, Bry, especially given all of his recent success. We need a prediction on the UFC lightweight championship. Who do you have?
Okay, hang on a second, boys.
Oh boy.
Is that the over-the-top move? Is that the Lincoln Hawk?
Like Stallone and over the top, I got to get prepared because full disclosure, I don't even know who I'm picking. I'm just going to break it down, and I'm going to see where it goes. Wow. This fight has given me goosebumps since it's been announced. I mean, literally, the nuts and the bolts of the fight, to the simplest terms, is Gaethje has the power advantage on paper, and Oliveira definitely has the ground advantage. That's what you think. I think Gaethje got exposed by Khabib, and that scares me. Khabib is great on the ground. I mean, Khabib's the GOAT, right? So it's really hard to say he got exposed when you go to Khabib, but we've never really seen Gaethje get taken down. We've never really seen him get held down. And when he did, he gave up a triangle fairly easily, and that kind of scares me because Oliveira's got a whole mantle at home full of arms, necks, and legs. So if this goes to the ground, this is a problem. The big knock on Oliveira, and those knocks were coming from me because I picked against him his last 2 fights, was, he doesn't, he quits and he's not tough. And, because we've seen him in the past or whatever. That was fucking forever ago. He's on a 10-fight win streak, asshole. Wake up. This guy is legit. And he's arguably proved it. I mean, he has proved it. The Michael Chandler fight, that was a close 10-8 round. Michael Chandler all over him, didn't fight the smartest fight. Oliveira comes back, knocks him out. Poirier, one of the best finishers in the division, boxes him up in that first round, comes back and submits him. Oliveira as well. Do you remember back when he was fighting, he was begging to go to 45. Every time he fought at 55, he's like, UFC, let me go back to 45. It's like, dude, no, you're killing it at 55. Couldn't make 45. He is filled out. He is bricked up. I've been following him. He's been in America for a while, and he looks good, but I love me some Justin Gaethje. I love me some Justin Gaethje. Pure violence, man, but he is a smart guy. If you go back to the Ferguson fight, genius game plan. No one has seen anyone do that to Tony. And I'm a huge Trevor Whitman guy. If I was not a lazy, fat capper and 15 years younger, I'd move to Colorado and sleep outside of Trevor Whitman's gym until he let me in. I mean, that's what I would do because I think this guy, he's the coach I would want. His style, everything's about that. So Justin fighting home, which Cody and I were texting. Cody thinks it could be, sorry to expose you, Cody. Could thinks it might be a hindrance fighting in Arizona. I know it's not directly in his hometown, but he's got fans there. Yeah. And then the Oliveira, he's playing some mind games today. I'm going to stand up with Gaethje, going to the ground. I can stand up with this guy. He's stand up with his past 2 opponents. Why not? Obviously, he can stand up with Gaethje. Gaethje has the power, and I think Oliveira has a little bit cleaner striking, has more tools. Gaethje has good leg kicks, good hooks, and is aggressive. But Gaethje looks super lean to me too. So that means to tell me he's wrestling. And I play a game with my kids. It's called The Floor is Lava. And Justin, the floor is lava, my friend. Do not fucking go near the floor. And with that being said, and new again, give me Gaethje by KO. God damn it. I did it. Wow. I did it. Not happy about it, but I did it.
Don't call him Oliveira. Our producer, Cody. I wish I could fire Cody for calling him Oliveira, but he's too good and I need him too badly. But Ken Flo, I understand why Brian maybe sees some value on Justin Gaethje at plus 145. I don't have any idea who's going to win this fight, so maybe the dog makes some sense. But there's just no way that I would walk up to a window right now with my hard-earned American dollars and bet against Charles Oliveira in current form. How do you see the main event playing out?
I've studied, I've watched tape, I've meditated on top of a mountain, and I still don't know. I mean, I do know. I don't feel confident in it because Gaethje is an absolute killer. Oliveira has, all the skills in the world. I think, like Brian, I think I doubted his heart a little bit, maybe his chin. That obviously has been put to bed. That he is a completely different fighter. And for anyone who's a manager, a coach, or a fighter for that matter, who wants to learn like how to rebuild or actually how to build your career and take the right fights, to give you that path to a championship. Look at the Charlie Olives, model. That's a beautiful blueprint. But the way he has rebuilt himself is tremendous. He's the more skillful guy. I think he has more ways to win by finish than Gaethje. Gaethje's hooks are a problem. I think Gaethje goading you into exchanges in the pocket is a big time problem. And I think that Charles is going to be too smart for that. I think he's going to use a lot of his long range tools, his Muay Thai approach and how he uses that lead leg and the roundhouse kick to keep you on the outside, and how he's able to get to the clinch now and actually be a threat from that over-under position or from those double underhooks. I think he's just better everywhere, and he can jump on your back at any point during that fight. So he gets you thinking about his striking, and then he gets his grappling going. He gets you thinking about his grappling, and then he gets his striking going. And boy, is he technical. Doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes these days. He's tough as hell. Gaethje scares me. He's a guy that can knock you out for sure, and he has a knack for getting you to trade with him. But I don't think Charles is going to play that game. I like Oliveira here as well. Or actually, no, you went with Gaethje. I like Oliveira here. Don't know if he gets the finish, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the win by sub.
All right, we have dissension on both title fights with Brian Petrie and Kenny Florian. For more content from BP throughout the week at MMA Takes Podcast. Shout out to Darren the Damage Elkins, by the way. Forgot to mention him. Couldn't finish the show. I mean, I remember.
I missed the fight. He won.
Oh, so good, Kenny. It was so good.
Was it another Elkins-like performance where he came back? Or?
Yeah.
No, he didn't have to rally. Right?
No, he didn't have to rally. He just dominated the whole time.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Tristan Connolly showed up too. It was more of an Elkins fight where Elkins didn't bleed till the third round, but it was more of like wrestling, grappling, scrambles. It was a fun fight. It was a really good fight. Yeah,
I remember awesome. 4 years ago, somebody posted this, and Kenny will probably recall this. But it was like, here's a live shot of Darren Elkins's brain, and it was a bowl of pudding, right?
Right.
And, look at him now, though, man. It's like, I know he's absorbed a lot of damage, no pun intended, but look at him 4 years later, still winning fights. And he's good, He's a good fighter.
I tweeted out that he was the human catcher's mitt just because the guy just takes a beat. Yeah. He's just durable. Yeah. He's there. He's going to be there for you.
Well, speaking of being there for you, that's you, buddy. Appreciate you answering the bell on a Sunday. Have a good work week, and we will talk to you next week in advance of another UFC fight night, my man.
Absolutely, boys. My pleasure. Have a good one.
Big chills. Thank you.
Brian Petrie with us for the main event challenge. All right, our final order of business. This guy's going to be coming with the heat today, I think. For the MERRROW seconds, he's heard his name dropped several times over the course of the show. A lot of people have taken shots at you, waywardly or otherwise, today. So how are you, Cody?
Oh, well, I just stepped away. Did I miss something? Do I still have a job? Am I good?
Yeah.
I should have changed my shirt too. I mean, I came here prepared. I get thrown under the bus by Ray and the chicken pound. I mean, come on.
How you doing? All right.
I'm doing all right. How about you guys? You guys good? You guys prepared for a nice
great.
pay-per-view week?
Great.
Oh, it's gonna
Arizona dropping some breaking news. Bilal Muhammad's gonna be on the weigh-in show on Friday. I mean,
wow.
Doesn't get that? And you're gonna be with Aljo. I mean, where's my ticket? What the hell is this?
Hey, man.
Everyone's in
Say
Phoenix.
the word. Say the word.
Yeah.
The MERRROW seconds as we close out the program. What did we miss? Anything good on the way out, my man?
So just to put a bow on Collier Arlovsky, not a single submitted card on MMADecisions.com was for Arlovsky. Every single one was for Collier. 82% of the fan vote. So everyone that wasn't related to Andrei Arlovsky or trains ATT was essentially voting that Collier won that fight, which I thought just watching that fight, when you're showing, how can you even justify showing clips of him when he's 185 pounds? Like, yeah, the face looks the same, but he looks like his like younger brother or something. Like, they don't look like the same guy.
Well, and he eats fairly cleanly too.
There's no way that's true. Come on, there's no way that is accurate. If he eats cleanly, he eats cleanly for 3 people, because there's no way. But I thought he was impressive. I thought he looked good. I mean, Arlovsky just keeps kicking though.
Yeah.
So Till Hermanson is slated for July 23rd. I believe that's official for London.
Wow,
so that's a 3-rounder taking place under
still getting back on the horse.
Under Aspinall and Blades, which Curtis Blades, I don't know if you guys saw it, Twitter was blowing up with Curtis Blades tweets last week. I don't know why, but he was.
That was pretty wild.
So that's interesting. Till hasn't fought in the UK in 3 years.
Since he got murked by Masvidal, is that right?
I believe so, yes. That's not exactly a nice way to put it, John. Huh?
I love Darren Till. One of my favorite people in this sport. Hopefully he's not listening to episode 347.
Well, so hopefully people are watching. Remember the show. And if you didn't, last week you missed Macy Barber announcing she's going to fight Jessica Ai at UFC 276. I think it was like 20 minutes after they had officially announced it. So you get some breaking news there. She's stepping in for Casey O'Neill, who tore her ACL. So you hate to see that out of a prospect, but that's a hell of a fight.
Too, yeah. Yep.
And also, I think Chito watches because on Remember the Show, I said that at what point is durability not an ability? And Chito went out and showed me that that doesn't exist for him. Durability is an ability for Chito Vera. So thanks for Chito for watching the fight.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, I just want to add to that, Dean Thomas did say on the broadcast that a good defense can beat a good offense and oftentimes will. And I thought it was well put, in terms of Chito sort of, weaponizing his defense in some way, shape, or form.
Well, and I thought the quote he was looking for was the best offense is a good defense. I forget what he said, but it's a legendary quote. I'm going to skip around here just because of what you said. So another thing that Dean Thomas, so I was going to say that Tough season 30 starts May 3rd, if you're into that. But one thing that Dean Thomas did say in the post fight for ESPN about Charles Oliveira, I guess, as I have to say it to stay on this program, that the hard thing about Charles is that he does always get hit once. And the question is against Gaethje, can you afford to get hit once? Fair. I think that was a very astute point by Dean, even if his stylist wasn't very astute on the post-fight show. So I just want to make the case to close this out for Charles Oliveira to be in the Hall of Fame, regardless of how the outcome comes next week. Most finishes in UFC history, 18. Most submission wins in UFC history, 15. He's second in total sub attempts with 38. And number one atop that list is Jim Miller, who is still in the UFC, rattling away submission attempts. He's tied for the first bonuses in the UFC with Donald Cerrone at 18. So very interesting. They're going to battle it out for a bonus this weekend. And he is one of only 2 fighters in UFC history with over half of their wins by submission, 52% or 15 of 29. The other one, do you want to venture a guess?
Campbell.
No. He just fought last weekend, GM3.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. And promises made, promises kept. Dustin Poirier did promise to donate to help people in Charles Oliveira's favela or neighborhood or whatever. So he did supply a $20,000 check last week to Instituto de Charles do Bronx.
Nice.
Good stuff. Good on Dustin Poirier. That's a good egg right there. And I will leave you with this, Kenny. I don't know if you saw this during the prelim portion when gifted Gabe Green beat Johan Lainus, but
I did not.
So Gabe Green was basically legally blind for his whole career. And he basically pulled out of a fight last October with Dwight Grant in some part because he got this PRK procedure done on his eyes. Now, you can't get LASIK and be a fighter, but you can get PRK. I think maybe it takes a little bit longer to heal. But so Gabe Green said that before this procedure, if you threw car keys at him, not only would he not catch them, he couldn't even recognize that they were car keys, right? So he said that his style as a pressure fighter was in some part dictated by his lack of vision.
Jeez.
And he did look like a completely different fighter in many respects. Obviously, his strength and conditioning is a part of that too. But went in there 2020 instead of 2300. It's a big deal. A lot of fighters, Billy Quarantello, getting that PRK procedure. Might have been useful for Ken Flo trying to sneak contact.
Yeah, I need that.
All right. If you want to check out Ken Flo's jiu-jitsu tutorials, I strongly would recommend that. KennyFlorianMartialArts.com, AnikFlorianPodcast.com for the podcast merchandise. And for one more sleep merchandise, we have special limited edition there for Phoenix, Arizona. You can go to millions.co. Thank you to our guests, Ray Longo and Brian Petrie. Thank you all for tuning in. Kindly subscribe on YouTube. Tell your friends. And we will talk to you next week as we recap the monster that is UFC 274. With that, for our producer, Cody Merrow, intern Will Berger, and the great Kenny Florian, Jon Anik saying so long for now. We will see you next Sunday, if not sooner. Until then, yo later.